Okay, we're now going to look in more detail at how you can work with files and directories in the shell. So for now we're thinking of the shell as a kind of file navigator, explorer type application. And usually in addition to seeing the contents of your file system, a file explorer will normally let you do things like create new directories or delete files. And we're going to have a look now at how you can do these equivalents, these same things in the shell. So to get started, we just want to make sure we're in the right directory first. To carry on, we want to be in the data shell directory. As you can see from my prompt at the moment, I am in data shell/data. So to get to the right directory, I am just going to run a cd ... and then return to execute. And so that I end up in the data shell directory. If you are following on directly from the last video, then you should probably have to do the same. Let's just remind ourselves of the contents of the current directory. Let's run ls-f, capital F, and see the contents of the current directory. Now, let's imagine that we are very proactive and diligent PhD students, and we want to get on with writing our thesis. So it seems like a good idea to create a new directory in which we store all of the files and things that we are going to use when we write our thesis. So we'd quite like to make a new directory and to store this stuff in. We can do this from the shell using the mkdir command. That's just mkdir. Mkdir then expects one argument, which is the name of the directory that you want to create. Let's just give it thesis to create a directory named thesis. We don't get any output from running that command, so let's just run ls-f one more time to confirm that it has created a new directory, and in fact, and indeed you can see there is a new thesis directory that has popped up. Now, thesis is a brand new directory, so we expect it to be empty. And we can just confirm that by using ls-f one more time, but this time, if we provide thesis as the argument, ls will report the contents of the thesis directory instead of the current working directory of the shell. Again, we get no output. That's okay, that just signifies that the directory is empty as we... Okay, we want to get on with writing our thesis, so it seems like it would be convenient to change our working directory to be the thesis directory. Let's do that now with a cd space thesis. Prompt updates, we are now in the thesis directory. So let's say we want to create a file in which we start writing a draft of our thesis. In order to do this, we can use a text editor application. The one that we recommend using in this session is called Nano. That's just N-A-N-O. Nano is a very simple and basic text editor. The reason we recommend it for this session is that it's pretty much universally found in almost every shell distribution because it's a very small and simple application, so it tends to be included. In order to use Nano, we need to provide the name of the file that we want to create with it. In this case, let's create a file called draft.txt. Much like when we ran the man command before, Nano does the same thing, and it sort of takes over your terminal and starts running itself. What you will find is if you now type into here, text will appear in the buffer, and it acts much like a simple text editor as you would expect. So let's try creating a couple of lines in our file. Let's type out, it's not publish or perish anymore. It's share and thrive. I'll just give you a second to type that. Okay, so now that we've provided the content of the file that we want to write, we need to get out of Nano and return back to the shell. Another reason that Nano is a good choice is that it actually provides you some hints on how to use it, unlike some other text editors. They are slightly obscure though, but you'll see at the bottom of the screen we have these characters next to a description. We are interested in exiting as we are done writing the contents of the file. All you need to know is that the caret symbol here, the little hat, stands in for the control key. So in order to exit, we need to press Control X. Once we do that, Nano provides us this little prompt here. It wants us to know if we want to save the changes we've made to the file. Just press Y to do that. It then asks us to confirm the name of the file we want to create. When we ran Nano, we provided the name draft.txt, so it's just asking us to confirm that we still want to use that name. Hit return, and you are returned back to your terminal. Now, Nano itself doesn't put any output onto the screen, but if we run an ls-f, we can see that a new file called draft.txt has been created as expected. Okay, so we've now seen how we can create directories and how we can use Nano as a text editor to create new files. One other common thing we want to be able to do in a sort of file explorer is to move files around. So that is change their which directory they're located in, but that also includes things like changing their name. So you may have noticed that draft.txt wasn't actually a great name given the contents of the file that we wrote. Maybe it would have been better if we'd called that quotes.txt maybe. So if we want to change the name of this file, we can essentially, this is the same operation as moving that file. We simply move it and give it a different name at the same time. In order to do that, we can use the move or mv command of the shell. So in this case, we are going to move draft.txt to quotes.txt. The move command always expects at least two arguments. In this form of the move command, we are providing the name that we want to, name of the file that we want to move, and finally the name of the file after it has been moved. So in this case, we're going to move draft.txt and rename it to quotes.txt at the same time. Hit return, no output to the shell, but that's okay. If we run an ls-f, we can indeed see that we have the quotes.txt instead. We can use the move command in other ways. So let's imagine that we wanted to move quotes.txt, so instead of being in the thesis directory, it was in the data shell directory instead. We can use the move command again for this. We first tell it the name of the file we would like to move, quotes.txt. And then instead of providing the another name of the file we would like to move it to, instead we can also, as the second argument of move, provide a directory in which we would like the file to be placed. In this case, as we want to move it into the data shell directory, which is one level above the current directory, we can just use ... to specify the directory above. Return to execute that, and then if we run our ls-f again, we'll find that the quotes.txt is no longer in the current directory. But if we do cd ... so that we are now in the data shell directory, and run ls-f here, find that quotes.txt has now popped up. So in this example, we've used a file, the move command to change the location of the file, but the move command can be used with directories in exactly the same way. In addition to being able to move files and directories, another common action we want to perform is making copies of files and directories. For this, there is a simple command which is cp, short for copy, as you might imagine. Much like the move command, it expects two arguments: the name of the file or directory we want to copy, and then where we would like it to be copied to. So let's copy quotes.txt, providing it as the first argument, and let's make a copy of this within the thesis directory called a slightly different name. Let's call it quotations.txt. So to specify that we would like the copy to be within the thesis directory, we specify the relative path in full. So we provide thesis / quotations. Quotations.txt. If we then run an ls-f here, we can see that quotes.txt still exists in the current directory. And then if we check the contents of the thesis directory by running ls-f thesis, we can see that the quotations.txt file has been created there as well. Much like the move command, cp can also copy directories. There is just one caveat to using the cp command in this way, which is that you need to use a flag, a special option in order to copy directories. So the flag to do this is the -r flag. So we need to write cp, then provide the -r flag. R here stands for recursive. It basically says to the cp command that this is a directory and it contains other things. Then copy not only the directory but everything that it also contains. So we do provide the cp-r, the name of the path to what we would like to copy, the thesis directory, and then what we would like the copy to be called. Sorry, that should be thesis backup. We're going to sensibly take a backup copy of our thesis work. Once again, no output from the cp command, but a simple ls-f confirms that the thesis backup directory has been created, and an ls-f thesis backup should confirm that the content of the thesis backup directory is the same. So indeed that just contains one file called quotations.txt.